and welcome to John and Louise on Life.
And this week we have a chat about influencers.
We have a really great interview with Janet Eardley, who works for Through the Roof.
And we're going to look at what is on TV this coming week.
So we'll see you in a minute. First up today, we wanted to take a look at influencers, who they are and who they influence. And so I've been looking at some of the top influencers in the UK, and the top person that comes out as the person with the most influence over society in general is David Beckham. He has got 50 million followers on Facebook alone.
No way.
And he has 53 million followers on Instagram.
Wow.
He's just a footballer as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what influence he could possibly have on my life.
Well, he's not even a footballer now, is he?
Well, no, he does modelling and all kinds of stuff like that. His family as a whole are really influencers as a family. I guess his son Romeo Beckham is always in the news about his engagements and his girlfriend. And
I think his wife is famous as well, isn't she?
Well, yeah, we're talking Posh Spice here for anybody that's into the Spice Girls. She's got her own clothing line. So as a sort of a group, they're quite an important bunch of influencers. And then the next person on the list is Emma Watson, who played Hermione Granger in Harry Potter. Wow. She has got 30 million followers. And she's also a UN Goodwill Ambassador, which she took up the role in 2014. So she's also considered the second most important influencer in the UK.
Wow, never thought that.
No, never picked her out. The third person is a model, Cara Delevingne.
Now you're using names I don't recognise.
And an actress. I mean, I guess maybe younger people look up to and aspire to having these people's lifestyles and choices. So anyway, I got past the celebrity ones and try to look for some really, really good Christian influencers. Who are they? And we're not talking about people that have got mega churches or anything like that. I mean, people like Joel Osteen or Bill Johnson have got tens of thousands of people that they preach to week in, week out. But we're talking about Christians that are on YouTube and have their own websites and really influence society for the good. And you know who I found?
Go on, tell me.
Nobody. Actually, it was a really poor selection of people. Nowhere near the level of influence that David Beckham has, for example. There aren't anybody who has got millions and millions and millions of followers at all.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know, because there are a lot of Christian celebrities out there. But the problem is they fall into one of two categories. Either they are super strange and really weird and off-the-wall freaky, or they are so woke that they are just really spiritual gurus trying to help everybody have a peaceful existence. If you try and find anybody who's middle ground, they're all trying to sell something. There's all something particular that they concentrate on. There is a woman called Daphne Avia who has got 190,000 followers. Now that's not even close to 500,000.
It's not bad.
She's a Christian woman and she is the most influential Christian person on this list. She comes in at number one at 190,000 followers. And she does every topic you can think of and she's not afraid to tackle anything. Some of it makes for awkward, cringy viewing, I gotta say.
Yep.
But actually, she's really switched on. She certainly draws a line in the sand and you definitely know where she stands.
All right, yep.
So that's pretty good. She got married a month ago, so now she's got another string turbo because she's got the husband on board now, this poor man. But actually, she's not bad to listen to. She's Bible-based, but she's still building her following, so that's quite interesting. But it is pretty tricky to find Christian influencers. There's a guy called Dave the Rabbi. He's brilliant. I like Dave the Rabbi.
I'm going to look up Dave the Rabbi.
Yeah,
look up Dave the Rabbi.
Dave the Rabbi. He's got quite a lot of following as well.
Yep.
And we were looking at a video this morning, weren't we, with we call her Hollaby Willoughby, but Phil and Holly off of this morning interviewed a couple of nuns from the order of Poor Clare of
somewhere, but they're from Arundel in
Arundel,
West
that's
Sussex.
it. Yeah. And they've just brought out an album which is all nuns singing this beautiful sort of angelic voices, and it's really doing well. People love it. So they interviewed these couple of nuns, didn't they, on the programme? And just by the way these nuns were talking to Holly and Phil, really you could sense the peace and the love of God in the way they were speaking. It really had a beautiful effect on Holly, really. She felt very touched by their words and encouraged that things were going to get better.
Yeah, she
which
did.
was really good.
Yeah.
So that little segment was recorded a few weeks ago, but I still think it's relevant today.
Well, I think it's actually very relevant for the next item, which is an interview with Janet Eardley, who is a very positive influence, standing up for those perhaps who don't have a voice and for those who are disabled.
Well, it's wonderful this afternoon to have Janet Eardley with us, who is the Church Inclusion Coordinator for Through the Roof, which is a charity that represents disabled people in the church, but in wider society as well. So, Janet, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So I suppose the first question is from me, what is exactly Through the Roof?
Okay, good question. Yeah, as you say, it's a Christian charity, a disability charity. I am one of these really fortunate people that works in a job where you work and your faith comes together. So it's it's a Christian charity that really wants to make sure disabled people can come to Jesus. The name, for anybody that doesn't realise, the name comes from the accounts in Luke chapter 5, where the four friends bring the paralysed man to Jesus, can't get in there because of the crowds, and take him up onto the roof and literally lower him through the roof. So literally being able to get to Jesus, whatever the barriers are that might be in the way. I was going to say, statistics will tell you that 90 to 95% of disabled people in the world will never hear the gospel. So that's what we're about. It's a big unreached group that we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Job to do, isn't it?
Yeah. So does Through the Roof just work in this country, or does it work across the world?
Yeah, across the world. I mean, that's how I first got involved in Through the Roof, was volunteering for them. There's a couple of things that they do, but they take wheelchairs, mobility equipment that was destined for landfill in the UK. It gets reconditioned in prison workshops and in a Through the Roof workshop, and it gets taken out to developing countries where disabled people would never have the chance of a wheelchair or mobility equipment. Disability out in a lot of developing countries is just seen as a curse, a punishment, and people are very much rejected, really on the margins. So to get out there and be able to take that message that Jesus loves people, people that have never ever heard that before, is massive. To be able to go out there and take that message literally to people that have never heard it, and for people to see people giving their lives to Jesus, and to see people that then are taking that, just taking it forward to spread that message to others as well, is great. In fact, I want to take the opportunity. I do want to take the opportunity to thank people at Crossroad and thank you for the support that you've given to Through the Roof, and in particular the audio Bibles, these wonderful little solar-powered audio Bibles. And last time we went out to Tanzania, which was end of 2019, just before lockdown struck, we took 128 of these. And that's people at Crossroads that's supported. And I know people have been praying for each of these Bibles and the people that got them. So just a huge thank you. I'll give you a quick update on one or two of them, if that's okay. I mean, when we went out first time, we gave one of these Bibles to a blind lady called Esther. she blew my mind. She has absolutely nothing. She has no income. She's blind, so nobody wants to marry her. So she's got no family, and she can only raise money by begging. And she only ever has one meal a day maximum. But what comes out of her money first is the trip to get to church on Sundays, the most important thing. And what she said to us was she'd been praying to God for a Bible. And you think, well, how can a blind lady in the middle of Africa get a Bible that she can access, because she can't see to read? I mean, it's impossible, isn't it? And that was the very first trip that we'd ever taken audio Bibles out. And to take an audio Bible in Swahili and give it to someone that's been praying for a Bible, and you think, wow, how humbling that God can use you to answer somebody's prayer is amazing. And she just said, you know, God knows his purpose in my life through this Bible. And then we've seen her, you know, she's out there and she's preaching, and she's preaching the word of God to people and telling them what it means to be born again. It's just amazing. And I'll tell you one other quick one. Magdalena, a lady that we took on the first trip, we took an audio Bible to Magdalena, who she's paralyzed through an illness. Nobody quite knows what the illness was. Her husband left her. That's what tends to happen. And she's living in this tiny little room. She's been left with 5 children as well. So the 6 of them are living in this tiny little room, and she cannot leave her bed. So to give her an audio Bible was wonderful. And she said she would be praying for us, which is something to take in, isn't it? But what happens, so that these have a solar panel on the back, and you leave them that way up and they charge. What happens, it had been left in the open doorway for it to charge in the sunlight, and it was stolen. And you think, oh, you know, God's got this audio Bible to her and now it's been stolen. But that's because we're seeing it through human eyes, and God has much bigger plans than that. And what happened was, so the next trip we went out, which was a wheels trip with the wheelchairs going out, Magdalena was one of the people due to be getting a wheelchair. So she came to the wheelchair distribution, and she'd explained what happened about this audio Bible. And everybody that gets a wheelchair gets a Bible as well. That's part of what Through the Roof does. So she got another audio Bible. That wasn't the end of it, because just as it happens, and this is God's timing, standing right at the side, just at that moment when Magdalena got her audio Bible and explained what had happened, was a pastor who lives just close to where Magdalena lives. And he said to her, oh, I've got an electric charger that can charge these. He said, I'll call in twice a week to make sure your Bible's charged up. And when I call in, we can talk about what you've been listening to in the Bible. So, you know, we think it's terrible the Bible got stolen, but God used it to bring a pastor into her life who's going to talk to her about what she's reading in the Bible. And I can't help thinking as well, what happened to the Bible that was stolen? Whose hands did that get into? They probably thought maybe it was a mobile phone or something, but when they switch it on, they've got the word of God speaking to them. And how is God using that one? Isn't it amazing? Yeah. So you just don't know. You can't. We need to see things through God's eyes, not through our eyes, because it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. So you're planning to go out there again at any point? I mean, I know. Well,
I'd love to. I should have been in Rwanda and Brazil this last year, but obviously, pandemic-wise, things have stopped. At the moment, what's happening is there's still containers of wheelchairs and mobility equipment going out, but it's being supported remotely. So we've got physios in the UK via video call, hoping that the internet holds out. Supporting people in whichever country it is. There's one happening in Uganda at the moment. So supporting them to fit the right wheelchairs to the right people by either video call or by photographs if the internet isn't working very well. But that's what we're doing at the moment. So we'll wait and see.
Is it mainly wheelchairs, or is there anything other that you help people with out there at all?
The mobility equipment that goes out is wheelchairs, walking frames, crutches, walking sticks, the whole lot of those. But there's also separate trips that go out that are what we call church inclusion trips, which are trying to work with the churches out there to change hearts and minds, really, to try and get away from this cultural idea that disability is a punishment, is a curse, and to try to bring Jesus' teaching to them, so that they're reaching out in love to people that, well, like Jesus did, people that are on the margins, people that are left out and ignored, and actually bringing them in. Yeah. So that there's the two different trips that happen. Yeah.
You said about the trips abroad.
Yeah.
What do you do for Through the Roof in this country?
Yeah. So it's a little bit different in this country. Hopefully, disabled people don't feel quite so marginalised. But having said that, it does happen. My job is to try and encourage churches to be more aware of disability issues, and mostly to welcome disabled people in and to help them to feel included and wanted. Churches generally, they definitely don't do it on purpose to make life difficult for disabled people, but it happens, and it happens just because of lack of awareness usually. So when we're talking about disabled people, I'm meaning the whole range of people. It might be wheelchair users, it might be people with mobility problems, sight loss, hearing loss, learning disabilities, whole range, and older people that are struggling with maybe sight or hearing problems or mobility problems. I think there's one more thing as well, which is some people that are put off, and this is a difficult one to talk about maybe, but maybe disabled people go along to something in church, and they get pounced on for somebody that is going to pray for their healing. Now, people do that for all the right motives, but when somebody sees a disabled person and decides that they need praying for healing, they're giving that message, there is something wrong with you that needs to change. And there's a lot, and I mean a lot of disabled people that have been put off church, but put off Christianity, and sadly, put off Jesus because of things like that happening. I mean, a disabled person would come forward for prayer. They probably are wanting prayer for the exact same things as everybody else is wanting prayer, things happening in their lives. And of course, then when they're not healed, it kind of gives that feeling that, perhaps they've not got enough faith to be healed. They've probably got a huge amount of faith because they've had to learn to rely on God because of the difficulties that they've been going through. So always ask someone, please, always ask someone what it is they would like prayer for, rather than assuming.
Enthusiastic and
yeah.
Grab them. Do you speak sign language?
I do, yes.
So how do you say hello and welcome?
Where you just say hello and you say welcome.
Is that it? So that's easy for everyone. I mean, whoever is on the door welcoming people, for children especially. I know we had a family come to our church that were holiday makers, and one of the children was deaf. And at that moment, I really wanted to just be able to say hello, and not feel. The child was hiding behind the parents. She looked really sort of terrified to be there. But just to sort of say hello and welcome would have been lovely, really.
Yeah. I tell you, when I very first became a Christian, I was 15 when I became a Christian, nearly 16. And it was from the testimony of a lady that had cancer, actually. Blew my mind. But that night I said to Jesus, right, you can have my life. You do whatever you want with it. which is a scary thing to say, but it's it's the best thing in the world to say. And it's been quite a journey since then, because you let Jesus have the steering wheel. Well, he takes you somewhere, you don't know where you're going. And some of that is off-road driving, definitely. It's through the rough. There's a lot of rough stuff, but he's always there alongside. It's brilliant. But why I tell you that, the first thing really that I was asked to do, just after I became a Christian, our family moved house and went to a completely new place. And I was asked to go and visit this home. Somebody asked me into this home for deaf-blind people. So these are people that are completely deaf, completely blind. So I had to learn their sign language, which was literally on their hands, because they couldn't see sign language, which I did, and went in a few times. But then one lady wanted to go to church, and there was a church across the road. So I would guide her across the road and then interpret the whole service onto her hand, and that was amazing. But then we got the whole youth group trained up, and then there was a whole minibus full of deafblind people then that came to the church, and they were all spelling the services out on their hands. So wow. Amazing.
Janet, I want to thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been fascinating. Thank you for giving us the updates on those ladies in Africa, Tanzania, with giving us the audio Bibles. And thank you for giving us a bit of a challenge as well about disabled people and the church. So it's been really good to speak to you this afternoon. I'd like to have gone further and like to have talked more, but perhaps another time. In fact, definitely another time. Anyway, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Well, if people want to find out more, they can have a look on the Through the Roof website. There's literally throughtheroof.org. And I'm really pleased to say that Crossroads is on our map now of churches that are positive about disability inclusion. So that's good.
Thank you ever so much, Janet, for your time and for giving us that interview. It was really fascinating to find out exactly what you do with Through the Roof, especially an update on the audio Bibles. So that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Janet does a great job, and we just encourage all of you to support her in any way you can. It was brilliant that she could take out 128 audio Bibles last time she went out, which is fantastic. Life-changing stuff.
So if you want to find out how you can support Janet, then the links below this video will show you how to get in contact with Through the Roof.
And let me just butt in there. Don't forget to subscribe as well while you're at it.
Yeah, subscribe to John and Louise on Life, because that is where we're going to be posting the videos from now on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to recommendations. And we have really been struggling to find things on the television that we can recommend to you that are suitable for everybody to watch. We don't really watch an awful lot of TV, do we? We tend to spend our evenings reading or doing our own thing on our laptops and things like that. But there are a few programmes in the week that we really love and really enjoy. Especially on Tuesday nights. It's called the Interior Design Masters. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I am absolutely nuts about interior design. It is on at 8 o'clock on BBC Two, and I love it. I'm ready for that particular programme. Nothing gets in the way of that. And then on Wednesday, we fight between the repair shop and Kirsty and Phil's List It or Love It, because they're both on at 8 o'clock. So we tend to watch both and just watch them on a +1 or something like that. They are really, really good. Oh,
The Repair Shop is the best programme on TV.
People cry every week.
It is amazing. It is just so heartwarming. The stories behind the things are just wonderful, but just to watch craftsmen at work fixing up things, I think there's about 1,000 sermons there, probably in the repair shop. Yeah.
Brace yourself.
Yeah.
But Kirsty and Phil's Love It or List It is also really good. That's on Channel 4. I really enjoy it. They do up a house for people that maybe can't decide whether they want to move house or stay where they are. It's really good. Thoroughly enjoy it. And then the other thing that we watch is on a Thursday night at 8 o'clock. I don't know why it's always 8 o'clock. Maybe it's because...
Well, we're in bed by 9, aren't we?
Yeah, we've had enough by then. I think maybe 8 o'clock is when we've finished tea, we've washed up, and we can finally sit down and relax. The programme on Thursday is called Your Garden Made Perfect. Oh, yeah. It is such good fun because they use, now what's those headsets
VR,
called?
virtual reality.
They use virtual reality headsets to show people what their garden could virtually look like. It's really good fun. We love it, don't we? So we're kind of into gardens and houses and that kind of thing. And finally, on Sunday night at 8 o'clock again, so you can come to the communion and then watch it, is the Great Pottery Throwdown. And there's people on that cry as well, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
That man cries every time he gets emotional about pottery. But anyway, that's really lovely if you've got a creative heart and you really enjoy that sort of thing, or even if you've never even tried it. It's a really great programme and it's all family viewing.
And there's another sermon there.
Is there?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, pots made of clay. Okay, well, anyway, that's our recommendations for the week. We think Saturday is an utterly rubbish day for TV, so that's movie night really.
Yep, and just to say before we go, that there's a website coming. So John and Louise .life is going to be up and running probably this coming week, so look out for it.
Yes.
We'll let you know more when that's come on board. Also, adoption and fostering.
Yes, we're hoping to do a section on our website all about infertility, adoption, fostering, miscarriage, everything about family life, especially as it's very dear to our hearts. We've been interviewing people that have gone through the same situation as us, and so we're going to have a whole section on there all about adoption and children, family life, the whole lot. If you want to have an interview with us, if you're willing to share your story with us, then please get in touch, because we really want to show other people that they're not alone in this journey that they're travelling. So make sure you subscribe as well to John and Louise on Life on YouTube, because then every time we upload a video, you'll get to see it first.
Anyway, I think that's enough for today. We are off to produce more videos and drive Jessie to...
Yeah, our son is leaving
going.
and heading back to London now, so we'll hopefully see him at Easter. Anyway, have a blessed week. God bless.
We'll see you next week. Bye.